Okay, thank you so much, everybody, for attending our presentation today. Metadata, huh? Yeah. What's it good for? Absolutely everything. Oop. So, hi, my name's Alexis Pummel. I'm the data success lead here in enterprise technology. And John.
I'm Josh. I do data stuff.
And today we're going to be talking about metadata. So, what is metadata? What are the types of metadata? What's it good for? How is it used across the university? And how can I contribute? So, I'll hand it over to Josh to discuss what is metadata.
What is it? All right. So, oh, that was fun. Okay. So, a lot of times you'll hear metadata described as data of data, something like that. Um, Generally, what we prefer to think is information for data. So it's not data about data, it's information about data. If it's just data, then someone has to interpret it, right? We want to make sure that metadata is easily digestible. So in different places, you might see it as, let's say you've got something posted up on the portal. You might have a title for that, a description, keywords, tags on it, all that fun stuff. So anything that might describe a data asset can be considered metadata. All right. Well, what types do we have? Descriptive, structural, and administrative. So descriptive is going to give you that high level, like in the stuff you're going to see in the portal. It's the information about where it came from, who created it, who owns it, what's in it, things like that. Structural is going to be more where is it located, how is it accessed, stuff like that. And then administrative is going to be about access and, again, some of that ownership information. Is it good for? Other than everything? Well, we've got maintainability, discoverability, and literacy ability. That third one is a made up word. So metadata is going to give you information about things that you might encounter under different roles. And if you're a developer and you've taken ownership of something, it's going to give you information about maybe the history of it, requirements for it, where it came from, who might have encountered it before, but everything you need to make sure that it keeps going or that you can improve it. Discoverability. So if you're an end user and you're looking for something, or mid-level user, you're looking for something, this is going to help you find that thing that you're looking for. And literacy ability. This is going to make sure that people are using data assets as accurately and appropriately as possible. So what are the limitations? What considerations need to be made? And then other basic things about how to engage the objects. Who does it impact? Everybody. So if you're an analyst or developer, depending on what title you have, we're all doing the same thing. You might spend a considerable amount of your time trying to figure out what data is out there, how to access it, how to use it. So we might have metadata available for the sources of that information, transformations that have been applied to the data, what the values mean, if they're not intuitive, documented. This is where you're going to find that. Any challenges you need to be aware of, hurdles to usage, what you should and shouldn't do with it, things like where you should store it potentially. That's metadata. Who can answer questions about it and who owns it. So we don't have useful metadata, and you're a developer analyst, your time distribution might look something like this. And because it's cool not to label your axes, let's pretend that that is like hours a week. Is that what I was going for? It's a lot of hours a week if you add those up. Oh, it's percent of your time. Percent of your time. That's what it is. If only people were doing best practices for dashboard design. So you're going to spend a considerable amount of time just finding, understanding, cleaning. But what your higher ups probably think you spend most of your time doing is analyzing, documenting for them, and communicating, right? That's what they want you doing. So without metadata, you spend a lot of time early on in those stages. But with metadata, oh, look at how that distribution changes. So much easier to find things and to understand them. Metadata is not going to help you with the cleaning and wrangling, sorry, but that's what enrichment's for. Check out all the enrichment stuff. And you get to spend more time analyzing and documenting now. And why are you spending more time documenting? For other people, so that they spend less time finding the stuff you're building, understanding the stuff you're building. All right, now maybe you're not an analyst, maybe you're a data owner, a steward, a trustee, a SME, all these other terms that table likes to use that I still don't quite understand. Well, what do they want to know? How and where their data is being used. So they've got a data source, they know their data is there, and they know what's showing up in these reports. They have no idea how it's getting there, who has access to it, who's doing what, is it still the same by the time it gets there? So metadata can help with that. They also want to know who can access it at either stage and who's actually using it, right? Because not everyone who has access to it's actually using it. And so again, we've got these black boxes, this hidden information. So we're looking at metadata to help clarify some of those processes. All right. Maybe you're just an end customer, a consumer. Well, you want to know what you're looking at, right? Where's that data on my report coming from? What does it actually mean? How can I use it? How can I not use it? And if I have questions, who can answer those questions? Who ultimately owns this information in whatever form it's in?
All right, so now we have a good understanding of what metadata is. Now the question is, how is it being leveraged across the university? So one of the main ways that ASU is leveraging metadata is for the user experience, specifically in the context of the analytics portal. And if you're not familiar with the analytics portal, it is a one-stop shop for all data at ASU. It hosts reports, dashboards, trainings, data dictionary, all of that fun stuff. So our global search, which is showcased right here, is entirely powered by the metadata that we are associated with reports. If you see on the left-hand side, all of those content filters, that is metadata. And that is how we are enabling all of our users to find these report assets. So metadata is really key in the end user experience. We also are leveraging it within the data dictionary. So it's defining data at the technical level, and we're showcasing for our analysts and developers, what is this object? How can it be used? What's the data profile? What's this data sampling look like? It can also be used as a source of support. So systems of record and anonymizing processes. So we're often using the business glossary as well to define common terms, which is in the next section. So our glossary. Now this differs a little bit from the data dictionary because this is, instead of having term definitions about schemas, columns, and our databases, these are common business terms. So the purpose of this glossary is to, stop redundancy within the data dictionary. If I know that, there's a specific shorthand version of EDW, for example, I do not want to have to write in every single data dictionary definition what that term is. So, the business glossary enables us to have one source of truth for those business terms. It can also provide guidance to our analysts and developers for, necessary objects of choice. Now getting into lineage. So this is showcasing our processes and dependencies. So this is helpful in 3 specific contexts for users. When we're talking about ETL developers specifically, they can understand the downstream impact of all of their changes made to the data. For our analyst, we can see how the data is being transformed, where is it's coming from, and in my context, how can I be using this in an efficient and accurate way? And for stewards, they can see how their data is being used. So as Josh was talking about with that black box, this really helps enable our stewards to have a greater understanding and eliminate the black box. And lastly, ERDs. So this is showcasing the structural relationships between our different tables. And so there's two different elements of the relationships. There's that cardinality, which is the structure of the tables and how they're kind of related to each other. So if you see the lines in between each one of these tables, that's the cardinality. And then it also tells our analysts how they can be joined together. So for example, in the playoff round table at the very top, in the hockey game, in the very middle, they both have ID. So I know as an analyst, that's how I can combine these two data sets together. So now that we know how ASU is leveraging, metadata and also how great it is, I'm sure you are all wondering how you can contribute to our metadata at ASU. So as I mentioned, metadata for the user experience, our analytics portal does offer the ability to tag your content. So you as a power user, if you are creating reports, dashboards, any type of content on the portal, there is this element called tagging. And so you can see the tagging options here. These are all metadata classifications. So the content type, group, source systems, and then subject domain, purpose, all of that good stuff is, there's a drop down within the analytics portal where you can notate these metadata associations with your reporting assets. Some of them are added automatically by our system, so such as content type, group, and source systems. The other ones are added by the publisher. So in this case, it would be our power users. And you can see an example of what that looks like on the right-hand side. That's the notation within the analytics portal. So there's two avenues for adding content, reporting metadata to your assets on the analytics portal. There's both bulk tagging and then individual tagging. So bulk tagging is, editing multiple reports or reporting assets at one time. This is really helpful in the case that, your group has multiple assets that would be classified similarly. So let's say you have 10 reports in your group that all deal with student data. You don't necessarily want to go into each individual one and select the same 10 tags. So in that case, you would be leveraging bulk tagging. The other one is individual tagging. So that's when you're editing, it's kind of self-explanatory, but editing one report at a time. So if you have a unique report with unique tags, that's where you would use this instance. I'm not going to get too deep into how to actually do that, but within our slides, and also within the analytics portal, there are instructions for both tagging and also digging into those tag term definitions. So there's also our data dictionary. We currently are leveraging Google Sheets for our data dictionary as a patchwork solution. These are managed by one and only Josh Johnson. So if you have any terms that you know the definitions to, you can go within this Google Sheet, the link is there, and add those terms accordingly. I do want to say that we are in the process of building out a new data dictionary lineage and profiling tool called Open Metadata, but it is in the early stages of development. So keep an eye out for that. A quick disclaimer though, analytics user database is not available yet, but it's not too early to start your own internal documentation. So we do ask that you are documenting all of your content and we can later add that to our open metadata platform. So that concludes our presentation. Are there any questions? Yeah, absolutely. So within the analytics portal, in the Power User Lounge, or within Data Academy, there's two ways to get there. Those tagging instructions are available.
Someone's gonna ask where this awesome lineage tool is, or where those ERDs are stored. I guess that's what I have to do it. So we are currently working on building out the ERDs in a new tool. We are licensing on a budget, but we're starting with the enriched objects. So student data enrichment, all the stuff that starts with SA that's been coming out, that's all going to be documented in the ERDs. If you are interested in doing anything else in that space, let me know.